San Francisco, 2003. Midnight. 22-year-old Alex Sterling sat at his computer in a small, cluttered studio apartment in the Mission District. The light from the monitor reflected in his tired but determined eyes. Lines of code flashed across the screen, the beginnings of what would one day revolutionize the world of medical diagnostics. Alex had always been different. Even as a child, he had shown an extraordinary ability for mathematics and programming, which often made him an outcast among his peers. But it was this difference, and a passion for innovation, that led him to enroll at Stanford University at the age of 16. Now, 6 years after enrolling and armed with dual degrees in computer science and bioengineering, Alex was ready to change the world. His idea was ambitious: create an artificial intelligence system that could analyze medical data with unprecedented accuracy, detecting diseases at their earliest stages. Quantum Health Systems was born in this very room, on a battered laptop bought with money from a part-time job at a university lab. Alex named his company after quantum mechanics, a field of physics that, like his AI, challenged conventional notions of what was possible. The first 2 years were tough. Alex worked as a programmer at a major tech company during the day, and at night and on weekends he immersed himself in developing his AI. He lived on coffee and energy bars, often forgetting about sleep and rest. His few friends gradually drifted away, not understanding his obsession with work, but Alex was ready to make these sacrifices for the sake of his dream. The breakthrough came in the 3rd year. Alex presented a prototype of his system at a medical technology conference in San Jose. His talk was the last on the program, and most of the participants were already getting ready to leave. But when Alex began his demonstration, the room fell silent. Alex's system analyzed anonymized medical data from thousands of patients and, with astonishing accuracy, identified cases of cancer at early stages that had been missed by traditional diagnostic methods. Moreover, the AI predicted the development of cardiovascular diseases in patients who did not yet have obvious symptoms. The presentation ended with thunderous applause. Alex had a line of investors waiting to fund his project, including Eleanor Price, a well-known venture capitalist specializing in medical technology. "Young man," she said, shaking Alex's hand, "you just changed the future of medicine. I want to be a part of that future." With investment from Eleanor and several other influential figures in Silicon Valley, Quantum Health Systems began to grow rapidly. Alex moved into a spacious office in San Francisco's financial district, hired a team of talented developers, and began collaborating with the country's leading medical institutions. By the age of 30, Alex Sterling had become one of the youngest billionaires in the history of the tech industry. His AI system was used in hundreds of hospitals around the world, saving thousands of lives through early detection. Time magazine named him Person of the Year, and his TED Talk became one of the most viewed in the platform's history. But with success came new challenges. Alex quickly learned that the world of big business could be a cutthroat, unforgiving place. Competitors tried to steal his technology, journalists dug into his past for scandals, and government officials became increasingly interested in the capabilities of his AI. The interest from the military was especially alarming. General Robert Hawkins, a Pentagon spokesman, repeatedly tried to meet with Alex, hinting at potential cooperation in the interests of national security. Alex always politely declined, but he felt the pressure mounting. At age 35, Alex faced his first major crisis. An anonymous source leaked information to the press that Quantum Health was allegedly using confidential medical data without patients' consent. Although the allegations were false, the company's reputation suffered. Shares fell 30% in 1 week. Alex personally led the campaign to restore trust. He held a press conference where he explained in detail how his system worked and the measures taken to protect patient privacy. He initiated an independent audit of all the company's processes and invited leading experts in AI ethics to consult. Gradually, the storm died down, the stock recovered, and customer trust returned. But the experience deeply affected Alex. He became more cautious, more suspicious of the outside world. He strengthened the company's security measures and became more selective in choosing partners and investors. By the age of 40, Alex Sterling was at the pinnacle of his career. Quantum Health Systems had become one of the most influential companies in the world of medical technology. Their AI systems were used not only for diagnostics, but also for developing new drugs, predicting epidemics, and personalizing treatments. Alex's personal life, however, left much to be desired. 2 failed marriages and an endless series of work commitments had left him lonely. His only real friend was Eleanor Price, his first major investor, who had become something of a mentor and confidant. It was Eleanor who first noticed a change in Alex's behavior in early 2023. He had become distracted, paranoid, and often talked about being watched and conspiracies. At first, she chalked it up to stress and fatigue, but over time, her concerns grew. "Alex," she said during one of their weekly lunches, "maybe you should take a vacation. You look worn out." But Alex only shook his head. "There's no time to rest, Eleanor. They're close. I can feel it." "Who are they, Alex?" she asked, alarm in her voice. "The ones who want to steal my work, to use it not to heal people, but to control them. I can't let this happen." Eleanor tried to convince him to seek professional help, but Alex refused. He was sure that his paranoia was justified, that he really was being followed. On March 15, 2023, Alex Sterling stood at the window of his 42nd floor office looking out over the Silver Arch Bridge. He felt that he was getting closer to unraveling the conspiracy against him and his company. But to uncover the truth, he would have to take a desperate step. Thus began a story that would shake the worlds of technology and medicine, a story of betrayal, paranoia, and the struggle for control over a technology that could change the future of humanity. March 20th, 2023 began as usual for Alex Sterling, with a security check in his penthouse at the top of a skyscraper in downtown San Francisco. He personally inspected every camera, checked all the locks, and made sure his personal AI system, Guardian, was working without a hitch. Only then did he allow himself to drink a cup of coffee and check the morning news. The headlines were full of reports of a new breakthrough by Quantum Health Systems in the field of early detection of Alzheimer's disease. On any other day, this would have made Alex smile, but today he only frowned. Every mention of his company in the media seemed like a potential threat, another chance for them to find a loophole in his defenses. At 8:30 in the morning, Alex got into his armored electric car. His driver and bodyguard, a former Marine named Jack, nodded at him in the rearview mirror. "Where today, boss? To the office?" Alex shook his head. "No, Jack, we have an important board meeting today. Let's go straight to the Aurora Conference Center." On the way, Alex looked through documents on his secure tablet preparing for the upcoming meeting. Today, he was going to present his new project to the board of directors, a next-generation AI system that could not only diagnose diseases, but also predict their onset years before the first symptoms. This project was his brainchild, the result of 3 years of intensive research and development. Alex was sure that this technology would change the world of healthcare forever. But at the same time, he understood the danger it could pose in the wrong hands. The Aurora Convention Center was a state-of-the-art glass and steel building shaped like a spiral. The board of directors had already assembled when Alex walked into the main room. He recognized familiar faces: Eleanor Price, his longtime mentor and investor; David Zhang, the bioinformatics genius; Samantha Rodriguez, former chief medical officer of the Mayo Clinic, and other prominent figures in the worlds of medicine and technology. But there was a new face, too, a middle-aged man with a military bearing sitting at the far corner of the table. Alex tensed as he recognized him as General Robert Hawkins of the Pentagon. "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen," Alex began, trying to hide his unease. "Before we begin, I'd like to know why we have a military representative in this closed meeting," Eleanor Price quickly explained. "Alex, we invited General Hawkins as a potential strategic partner. His experience in national security could be valuable to our new project." Alex felt his heart begin to beat faster. Here it was, his worst fears confirmed. They were trying to seize control of his technology, to use it for military purposes. "No," he said firmly. "Absolutely not. Our technology is designed to save lives, not to create weapons. General Hawkins, I ask you to leave this meeting." There was a tense silence in the room. The board members exchanged worried glances. General Hawkins seemed surprised, but he didn't move. "Alex," Eleanor began softly, "no one is talking about weapons. We are simply considering the possibilities." But Alex was no longer listening. Years of paranoia and stress, weeks of sleepless nights and constant tension had finally reached a breaking point. A feverish gleam appeared in his eyes. "I get it," he said, raising his voice. "This is a conspiracy, isn't it? You're all in on it. You want to steal my work, my ideas." He began pacing the room, pointing his finger at one board member after another. "You, David, have always been jealous of my success. And you, Samantha, probably work for the pharmaceutical companies. They have billions to lose if we learn to prevent disease instead of cure it." Eleanor tried to calm him down. "Alex, please calm down. No one here is against you. We're all on the same side." But Alex couldn't stop himself. He continued his diatribe, his voice growing louder, his accusations more outrageous. He spoke of secret government experiments, of a global conspiracy to control humanity, of alien technology supposedly hidden in his AI systems. The board members looked at him with a mixture of shock, fear, and sympathy. Some tried to calm him down. Others quietly called for security. Finally, Eleanor stood up and slowly walked toward Alex. "Alex, dear," she said softly but firmly, "you need help. Let us help you." At that moment, two large men in white coats entered the room. Alex immediately realized who they were. "No!" he screamed. "You will not lock me out. I will not let you steal my mind." He tried to run, but the guards were faster. They grabbed him, and one of them pulled out a syringe with a sedative. The last thing Alex saw before he lost consciousness was Eleanor's face, distorted with pain and regret. When Alex came to, he found himself lying on a soft bed in a bright, airy room. His first thought was, "They've got me, but I can't let them win." He looked around. The room was tastefully but minimalistically furnished. There were no sharp objects or anything that could be used as a weapon. The window was covered with sturdy plexiglass. There was a glass of water and a small pill on the bedside table. The door opened and a middle-aged woman in a white coat walked in. Her name tag read, "Dr. Lisa Stern, Chief Psychiatrist." "Welcome to Oasis of the Mind, Mr. Sterling," she said with a slight smile. "How are you feeling?" Alex didn't answer. His mind was working feverishly, analyzing the situation. He knew that open resistance was futile now. He needed time to assess the situation, to find weak spots in the clinic's security system. I'm not sure," he finally answered, trying to sound confused and vulnerable. "What happened? Why am I here?" Dr. Stern sat on the edge of the bed. "You've been having an acute psychotic episode, Alex. You've been making paranoid accusations against your colleagues, talking about conspiracies and alien technology. Your friends and colleagues are very concerned about your condition. They brought you here so that we could help you." Alex feigned shock and confusion. I I don't remember that. Did I really say all that? It's normal that you don't remember, Dr. Stern reassured him. Acute psychosis often involves memory loss. But don't worry, we're here to help you make sense of what's happening and restore your mental health. She handed him a glass of water and a pill. It's a mild sedative. It will help you relax and sleep better. Alex took the pill but did not swallow it. He knew he had to be careful. Thank you, doctor. I'll take it later if you don't mind. I'm feeling pretty calm right now. Dr. Stern nodded. Of course, Alex. Get some rest. We'll start our therapy sessions tomorrow. In the meantime, if you need anything, just press the call button. When she left, Alex carefully got out of bed and walked to the window. The view was picturesque. The clinic was located on a hill surrounded by woods. In the distance, the outlines of San Francisco and the bay were visible. Good, Alex thought. Now I know where I am. The next step is to figure out who's a friend and who's a foe. He decided that he would play the role of an obedient patient, gradually gaining the trust of the staff. This would give him the opportunity to gather information and devise an escape plan. The next few days passed in the routine of the psychiatric clinic. Alex met with Dr. Stern for daily therapy sessions, participated in group activities, and tried to act as normally as possible. He kept a close eye on the staff and other patients. He took particular note of a nurse named Michael O'Brien, a young man with a charismatic smile and an expensive watch on his wrist that seemed out of place on a nurse's salary. Alex also noticed the nervous behavior of a young receptionist named Emily Wu. She often cast worried glances in his direction and seemed tense every time he passed the front desk. On his fourth day at the clinic, Alex decided it was time to take a more proactive approach. After dinner, when most of the patients had gone to their rooms, he approached Michael O'Brien, who was finishing his shift. "Hey, Michael," Alex said with a friendly smile. "Can I ask you a question?" The nurse looked a little surprised but nodded. "Of course, Mr. Sterling. What are you interested in?" Alex lowered his voice. "I just wanted to ask, that watch you have on your wrist, it's a Patek Philippe, right? A Nautilus model, if I'm not mistaken." Michael instinctively covered the watch with his sleeve. It was a gift from my uncle," he muttered uncertainly. Alex nodded, pretending to believe it. "I understand. It's just that I collect watches myself, so I noticed it. A beautiful model, worth at least 100,000? Michael paled. I don't know exactly. Look, I have to go. Have a nice evening, Mr. Sterling." Alex watched the nurse hurry away. Interesting, he thought. Very interesting. The next morning, during group therapy, Alex decided to test the reactions of the other patients. When it was his turn to speak, he began to talk about his work at Quantum Health Systems, deliberately mentioning some confidential details of the project. You see, our AI can predict illnesses years before symptoms appear. Imagine how valuable that information could be to certain organizations, he said, watching the reactions of those around him carefully. Most of the patients looked disinterested or confused, but Alex noticed one of them, a middle-aged man named Harry, suddenly tense up and glance quickly at the security camera in the corner of the room. After the session, Alex approached Harry. "Hey, buddy, you okay? You seemed a little nervous while I was telling you." Harry glanced around nervously. "Listen, kid," he whispered. "If you really are who you say you are, be careful. The walls have ears around here." Before Alex could ask anything else, Harry hurried away. That evening, lying in his room, Alex analyzed the information he had collected. Michael O'Brien clearly had access to money that the average nurse shouldn't have. Emily Wu was nervous in his presence, and Harry seemed to know something about what was going on at the clinic. Alex decided it was time to take more decisive action. He needed access to a computer or a phone to contact the outside world and get more information. The next day, while walking in the clinic garden, Alex deliberately tripped and fell, letting out a loud cry of pain. Michael O'Brien, who was on duty that day, rushed to his aid. "Mr. Sterling, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Alex groaned, holding his ankle. "I think I twisted my foot. It hurts to step on." Michael helped Alex up and led him to the nurse's station. As Alex passed the receptionist's desk, he noticed Emily Wu had walked away from her computer, leaving it on. In the nurse's station, while Michael examined his leg, Alex continued to groan in pain, distracting the nurse. Taking advantage of the moment, he discreetly pulled a set of keys from Michael's pocket. "I think it's just a sprain," Michael said. "I'll put a bandage on it and give you some pain medication." Alex nodded, continuing to play the role of the injured patient. As Michael turned away to get a bandage, Alex quickly imprinted the nurse's station key on a bar of soap he had thoughtfully grabbed from his room. Returning to his room with his leg bandaged, Alex began planning his next move. He knew he would only have one chance to gain access to Emily's computer and the nurse's station, where medications and possibly important documents were kept. At night, when most of the patients were asleep and the staff was minimal, Alex carefully made his way out of his room. Using a hair clip he had borrowed from one of the patients, he managed to open the door. Quietly walking down the hallway, Alex made his way to the reception desk. To his surprise and delight, Emily's computer was still on, and she had apparently forgotten to log out. Alex quickly looked through the files on the computer, looking for any information about the Phoenix Project or other suspicious activities. His heart began to beat faster when he found an encrypted folder titled Special Patients. Using his cybersecurity skills, Alex was able to bypass the security and open the folder. Inside, he found a list of patients, including himself, with labels such as high priority, potential source, and data extraction required. Alex quickly copied these files to a flash drive he secretly assembled from electronic components found in the clinic. He then headed to the medical station. Using a homemade key made from an imprint on soap, he entered. Here he found patient medical records and prescription logs. As Alex reviewed the documents, he discovered that some patients, including himself, were prescribed unusual combinations of drugs. Some of these drugs were experimental and not approved for widespread use. Suddenly, Alex heard footsteps in the hallway. He quickly hid behind the door, holding his breath. The door opened and Michael O'Brien walked in. The nurse went straight to the medicine cabinet, pulled out several bottles, and hid them in his pocket. When Michael left, Alex waited a few minutes, then cautiously returned to his room. His mind was frantically processing the information he had received. Now he had proof that something illegal was happening at Oasis of the Mind. But what exactly? And how did it relate to his company and technology? Lying in bed, Alex began to formulate a plan. He needed to find a way to contact the outside world, perhaps Eleanor Price. Despite her role in his hospitalization, he still believed that she could be his only ally. But before he could develop this thought further, the door to his room opened. Dr. Stern walked in, followed by two orderlies. "Mr. Sterling," she said with a cold smile, "it seems you had a very active night. It's time for your special treatment." Alex tried to resist, but the orderlies were stronger. The last thing he saw before he passed out from the injection was Dr. Stern's face, distorted by a mixture of triumph and regret. Alex Sterling slowly came to. His head was pounding, his mouth was dry, and his body felt incredibly heavy. He opened his eyes with difficulty and found himself in an unfamiliar room. It was smaller than his previous room, with bare white walls and a single barred window. "Shit," Alex thought. "They got me. But how much do they know?" He tried to sit up, but found that his arms and legs were tied to the bed. Panic began to set in, but Alex forced himself to remain calm. He closed his eyes and took several deep breaths, trying to regain clarity of thought. Suddenly the door opened and Dr. Stern walked into the room, followed by two orderlies. "Mr. Sterling, you're awake," she said with a cold smile. "How are you feeling?" Alex decided that his best strategy was to continue playing the role of a disoriented patient. I don't understand what's happening," he muttered. "Why am I tied up? Where am I?" Dr. Stern sat down on the edge of the bed. "You're in the isolation ward, Alex. Unfortunately, you had another psychotic episode last night. You wandered around the clinic, broke into the medical bay. We were forced to take measures for your own safety." Alex feigned confusion and fear. I don't remember anything." "Really, Dr. Stern? I don't understand what's happening to me." Dr. Stern nodded sympathetically. "That's normal, Alex. Memory lapses often accompany such episodes. But don't worry, we're here to help you. We'll start you on a new course of treatment that I'm sure will help you get better quickly." She pulled out a syringe and a vial of clear liquid. "This is a new drug, developed specifically for cases like yours. It will help stabilize your condition." Alex tensed. He knew he couldn't let them inject him with an unknown substance. But how could he refuse without raising suspicion? "Dr. Stern," he began, his voice shaking, I'm afraid of injections. Please, could you give me the medicine in pill form?" Dr. Stern shook her head. "I'm sorry, Alex, but in your condition, injections are most effective. Don't worry, you won't feel much." As she approached with the syringe, Alex decided it was time to act. Using all his strength, he jerked sharply, arching his back and creating tension in the straps. One of the straps he had secretly loosened earlier gave way and his arm was freed. In a flash, Alex snatched the syringe from the surprised Dr. Stern and plunged it into the shoulder of the nearest orderly. The second orderly lunged at him, but Alex, using the self-defense skills he had learned years ago, managed to dodge and deliver a well-aimed blow to the solar plexus. Dr. Stern tried to reach for the security button, but Alex was ahead of her, grabbing her arm and pinning her against the wall. "Now, Dr. Stern," he hissed, looking her straight in the eye, "you are going to tell me everything about the Phoenix Project and what is really going on here." Dr. Stern's face went pale. I don't know what you are talking about." "Don't lie to me." Alex raised his voice. "I saw the files. I know you are conducting illegal experiments on patients. What are you trying to get out of my brain?" At that moment, footsteps and voices were heard in the hallway. Alex realized that he didn't have much time left. He quickly searched Dr. Stern's pockets and found the key card. "Excuse me, doctor, but I have to go," he said, pushing her toward the bed and quickly tying her up with belts. Alex slipped out of the room just as security appeared around the corner. He ran down the hallway trying to navigate the labyrinth of the clinic. Sirens wailed, announcing the escape of a patient. Alex knew that soon the entire clinic would be on its feet. He needed to find a way out, and fast. As he turned the corner, he ran into Emily Wu. The girl screamed in fear, but Alex quickly covered her mouth with his hand. "Quiet, Emily. I won't hurt you, but I need your help," he whispered. Emily shook, but she nodded. Alex slowly pulled his hand away. "I know you're not a bad person, Emily. You're just in a bad situation. Help me get out of here, and I promise I'll do everything I can to protect you." Emily hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, follow me." She led Alex through the service corridors of the clinic, avoiding the main routes where they could be intercepted. Finally, they reached a small door that led out into the courtyard. "That door leads to the service parking lot," Emily whispered. "There are always a few cars parked there with keys inside in case of an emergency evacuation." Alex nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Emily. You risked a lot to help me. I won't forget that." Before he left, he turned to her. "Emily, what is the Phoenix Project? What do they do with patients?" Emily paled. I don't know all the details, but this is some kind of experiment to extract information directly from the brain. They're using a combination of drugs and advanced neurotechnology. Alex, they're after your knowledge of AI. Be careful." Alex nodded. "Thanks for the warning. Take care, Emily." With that, he slipped out the door and ran to the parking lot. As Emily had said, there were several cars. Alex chose a nondescript sedan and, to his relief, found the keys in the ignition. As he drove out of the clinic, he saw in the rearview mirror the guards running out into the parking lot. But it was too late. Alex was free. Once on the highway, Alex allowed himself to relax a little. But he knew that this was only the beginning. Now he had to expose the conspiracy and save his company and technology from the perpetrators. The first thing he did was head to a motel on the outskirts of town. Using the cash he had wisely kept in a secret place in his house, paranoia can sometimes be useful, Alex rented a room under an assumed name. Once in the room, the first thing he did was turn on the TV. As he expected, the news was already reporting on the escape of a dangerous patient from a mental hospital. His photo was all over the channels. Alex knew that he had little time. The police were probably already looking for him. But before he took any further steps, he needed to contact the only person he still trusted, Eleanor Price. Using the prepaid phone he had bought on the way, Alex dialed Eleanor's personal number. "Hello?" came her familiar voice. "Eleanor, it's Alex. Please don't hang up," he said quickly. "I don't have much time. I know you think I'm crazy, but I'm not. There's something terrible going on at the clinic. They've been trying to extract information from my brain. It's called the Phoenix Project. I need your help." There was silence on the other end of the line. Then Eleanor spoke. "Alex, I don't know what to think. Are you sure this isn't some kind of paranoid fantasy of yours?" "Eleanor, I swear it's true," Alex said desperately. "When have I ever let you down? When have my crazy ideas turned out to be wrong? Please believe me now." Another pause. Then, "Okay, Alex, I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but I believe you. What do you want me to do?" Alex breathed a sigh of relief. "Thank you, Eleanor. I need you to review the financial statements of Quantum Health Systems for the last 6 months. Look for any unusual transfers or contracts, especially with military or government organizations. Also, check for any new hires during that period." "Okay, I'll get to it right away," Eleanor said. "Where are you now? Do you need help?" "No, don't tell me where you are," Alex interrupted. "The less you know, the safer you are. I'll contact you in 24 hours. Be careful, Eleanor. I don't know how deep this conspiracy goes." After hanging up, Alex began planning his next move. He needed to find a way to prove his innocence and expose the Phoenix Project. But how to do that when the whole world considered him a dangerous psychopath? Suddenly, it hit him. Harry, the patient at the clinic who warned him. Perhaps he knew more than he let on. But how to find him? Alex turned on the laptop he'd bought with the phone. Using his hacking skills, he hacked into the Oasis of Reason Clinic's database. After a few minutes of searching, he found what he was looking for: Harry's full name and home address. Now, Alex had a plan. He would find Harry and find out what he knew. Then, with Eleanor's help, he would gather evidence against the clinic and the Phoenix Project. And finally, he will expose this conspiracy to the whole world. Finding Harry proved to be no easy task. After their last meeting, when the police raided Harry's home, he had disappeared. Alex suspected that Harry might have gone into hiding, fearing persecution from the New Age Illuminati. On a conspiracy forum, he found a user named Phoenix_Watcher, whose posts were remarkably similar to Harry's theories. Alex decided to take a chance and sent the user an encrypted message with a code phrase that only he and Harry knew. The response came a few hours later. Meet me where the stars fall and new worlds are born. Midnight. Alex immediately knew what it meant. During their conversations at the clinic, Harry had often mentioned an abandoned planetarium on the outskirts of the city where he liked to hide in his youth. After discovering information about the Phoenix Project, Alex knew he had no choice but to act immediately. Armed with the evidence he had collected, he devised a daring plan. The first step was to create an unbreakable information distribution network. Alex used his AI skills to create an autonomous system that would automatically send all the collected evidence to the world's leading media outlets if he did not enter a special code within 24 hours. Alex then contacted FBI agent Samantha Rodriguez, the one who had been working on his case. Instead of going into hiding, he offered to meet her in person. "I'm willing to turn myself in," he said over the phone. "But first you need to hear my story. I have evidence of a crime on a scale that will dwarf anything you've ever seen." Intrigued and a little skeptical, Agent Rodriguez agreed to meet in a neutral location. In an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, Alex presented Agent Rodriguez with all the evidence he'd collected. He showed her encrypted files, financial records, emails, and even recordings of conversations between members of the New Age Illuminati. "I know you think I'm paranoid," Alex said, "but look at this evidence. It speaks for itself." Agent Rodriguez spent several hours reviewing the materials, her skepticism giving way to growing horror at the scale of the conspiracy unfolding. "Oh my God, Sterling," she finally said. "If even half of this is true, we're dealing with the biggest crime of the century." Alex nodded. "That's why I came to you. I can't fight this alone. I need the FBI's help." Together, Alex and Agent Rodriguez hatched a plan of action. They decided to conduct simultaneous raids on several key locations: the Oasis of the Mind Clinic, the headquarters of Quantum Health Systems, and the offices of several front companies through which the New Age Illuminati operated. Alex gave the FBI access to the security systems of these facilities using his hacking skills, allowing the agents to infiltrate undetected and gather additional evidence. 3 months after Alex Sterling escaped from the Oasis of the Mind Clinic, the world was rocked by a series of revelations that would forever change the landscape of the tech and healthcare industries. It all began with an anonymous leak of data to the world's leading media. Thousands of documents, emails, and financial reports revealed the existence of a secret organization called the New Age Illuminati and their Phoenix and Lazarus projects. The public was shocked by the scale of the conspiracy. It turned out that dozens of high-ranking government officials, businessmen, and scientists were involved in illegal experiments to extract information from patients' brains and develop digital immortality technology. The Oasis of the Mind Clinic was immediately shut down. Dr. Lisa Stern and other key figures in the conspiracy were arrested. Large-scale investigations into dozens of tech companies and medical institutions around the world were launched. But the hero of the story was Alex Sterling. A week after the leak, he appeared at a special press conference organized by the FBI. Exhausted but determined, Alex told his story to the world. He explained how he discovered the conspiracy, how he tried to expose it, and how he was eventually declared insane and committed to an asylum. Alex shared details of his escape and the subsequent investigation that led to the collection of irrefutable evidence against the New Age Illuminati. "I'm not a hero," Alex told reporters. "I'm just a man who couldn't stand by when he learned of such terrible things. The real heroes are the doctors, nurses, and others who risked everything to help me uncover the truth." Alex gave special thanks to Eleanor Price, who played a key role in disseminating the information, and to Harry, the former journalist whose research helped connect the dots. The fallout from this scandal was enormous. New laws were passed to regulate research in neurotechnology and artificial intelligence. Many large tech companies were restructured. the public began a serious debate about the ethical aspects of AI development and the limits of intervention in the human brain. Quantum Health Systems, led by Alex Sterling, became a leader in developing ethical standards for AI in healthcare. The company abandoned all projects related to mining information from the brain, focusing instead on developing technologies to treat neurodegenerative diseases. Harry was fully exonerated and returned to journalism, becoming one of the leading experts on ethics in technology. Emily Wu, the administrator of the clinic who helped Alex escape, received immunity in exchange for cooperating with the investigation and became an active fighter for patients' rights. As for digital immortality, the technology was deemed too dangerous and unethical for further development. All research in this area was frozen indefinitely.